I've been lifting for over 15 years. It's around about half my life. But more than half of that time, I followed the complete wrong approach. I used to train the way that I see all the bodybuilders and the big guys training and just wondered why I wasn't making the progress that they did. So if you've ever wondered why you're not seeing results, and maybe you're now in the position that I used to be in, and if you're new here, I'm Sylvester. I coached over 10,000 people over the last 9 years. Sift through this noise and focus on the stuff that actually matters. So number one, I trained too much. And it's not even about overtraining. Overtraining is something that people talk about when they're doing far too much for such a long, extended period of time. But in all honesty, most people don't do that. Maybe athletes will do that. But the general population of people that want to just build a bit of muscle, get stronger, fitter, don't overtrain. They just train too much. And the difference is, training too much means that you go from training loads to not training at all because you have this massive expectation that you have to train 6 days a week, 7 days a week, and then you fall off. So then the consistency is not there. So that's why it's overtraining, but for a completely different purpose. And also, on top of that, if you know you're training 6 days a week, chances are you're not going to give your all to those sessions. So they're kind of subpar, you're not really pushing yourself to failure. And fair enough, if you're 18 years old and you're not got loads going on, you're at uni or something like that, maybe you do have the time to train that amount, but you're probably out partying, so that's a completely different story. But for the people that maybe are in their mid-20s, early 30s, 40s, training has to fit into your chaotic, busy life. It can't be the sole purpose of what you do. So don't waste your time doing a bro split of chest on Monday, shoulders on Tuesday, arms on Wednesday, back on Thursday, legs, and then arms again. All of this stuff, will it get you results initially? Yes, because any stimulus will get you results, but there's a smarter way to do it. You want to be hitting the muscle groups twice a week. And to do that, you can train twice, but I'd recommend 3 if possible, because then you can really get the most out of it. So training 3 times a week, you're going to do an upper, a lower, and then a full body. If you want to train 4 times a week, you go upper, lower, full body, or upper, lower. And this allows you to train the muscle groups more often because they recover, and even though you might get DOMs, they recover quicker than you think. So leaving them a full week just doesn't make sense. You're leaving gains on the table, so to speak, and I've done that for years. Next up, do not just try and lift for a pump and high reps. Get strong. This is one of the biggest things and the mistakes that I made, was thinking that high reps, because I got a better pump, was the best thing that I could possibly do. Most people do not train to enough intensity, but the beauty of training heavy, as long as you get good foundations of like your stance, the way that you set up, your execution, go as heavy as you possibly can. As soon as your form starts to go, yeah, you can drop it back a little bit. But if you're not making stupid ass faces and like almost want to jump out your skin and feel as if the bar is going to crush you, you're probably not going to build that much muscle. So your first two exercises, maybe 3 exercises, should be kind of major compounds. Down below, when you get the meal plan builder, etc., you also get 28 days worth of advice, which will run through some of this stuff as well, which you can go to after this video. But you want those first 2 to 3 exercises to be compound lifts. You want them to be stuff that you really can truly go heavy with. You can't go super heavy with a bicep curl. Stuff that works, compound lifts, are stuff that works multiple muscle groups. A squat, a leg press, etc. is going to work a lot of your legs. The same with like deadlifts will work a lot of upper body, lower body as well, hamstrings, glutes, etc. Incline bench is going to work triceps, shoulders, chest, a lot of core in there for stability. And you're able to engage all these muscles and really lift a lot of weight. After those sets, then you can start going a bit higher rep, get a lot of pump work, blood flow into the muscle. You can absolutely do that. But it's really important that those first 2 to 3 sets are really to as close to failure as you can go. And chances are you're probably not even that close to failure unless you got a spotter, because there's been a lot of studies around people's idea of where failure is and where it actually is, and it's quite far away. Next up, track your workouts. Jumping, and honestly I still make this mistake mainly because I'm not that bothered about building loads of muscle or anything like that right now. Like, for me, it's more about maintenance and enjoyment of like boxing and whatever else, but this is advice for people that are wanting to build a bit of muscle. Do not program hop. So separate your cardio from your lifting sessions. So if you like doing cardio, I'd recommend to get the best physique, just gradually increasing your steps rather than hammering yourself with cardio and then you get no energy for your weight stuff. But if you do like doing some cardio, whether it's boxing, some classes, whatever, absolutely fine. But separate that completely from your weight stuff. But don't program hop from your weight stuff. So don't go from doing a certain type of exercise one week and then a completely different one the next week. You're making it a lot more difficult than it has to be. By tracking your weight in the gym and you see that rep range, you hit the top of the rep range, you go up in weight. As you gradually increase that, there's an impossibility if you're getting stronger and you're eating enough protein and food that you're not getting bigger. Like it's next to impossible that's happening. So that should be your main target. Now, you can implement weeks off. Best to do that when you're just having a holiday or something like that. But in all honesty, depending on how hard you're going, every kind of 10, 12, I would say 16 weeks is probably the maximum that I would go in terms of like solid training, and then I would have a deload. But you might have it as early as 8 weeks. But a deload is where you have been going hard, you want to kind of reset things, you want to kind of give your joints a chance to cool off a little bit and avoid any injuries. A deload week, you go about 60%. You might even do it for 2 weeks, but you go about 60% of what you would usually do. You keep all the exercises the same, you don't train to failure, and you go a lot more around. Like I was saying, to avoid at the start, the kind of pump work, and you just go through the motions. And this just helps you kind of reset, kind of gets all the aches and pains away, and then you can go again. So implement deloads. And then after that, when it comes to aches and pains, if you're feeling sore after your workouts at the start, absolutely fine. When you're feeling ridiculously sore, you can't even walk down the stairs, that means that you've not been consistent enough with what you're doing, or you're program hopping. So yes, you'll be a wee bit tender even if you're consistent with it, but if you're getting to the point where you're not any longer sore because you've been consistent, it's actually a good sign. People think, oh, I'm sore, that must have done something. Correct. But if you've been training for a long time and it's not one of the first sessions you've done, then chances are it's a lot more around the fact that you've not been consistent enough with it. Next up, when it comes to nutrition, obviously protein, super important. Like, you can't build muscle really without protein. But I'd put in another video, I'll link this at the end potentially, how similar to this, training less equals more muscle, less protein equals more muscle, because of the carbohydrate content. When, especially if you're in a deficit, you're eating a little bit less protein but enough of what you need, then you give yourself the main energy source from the other macros, which is most likely carbs, and that's literally what fuels the glycogen in your muscle. Supplementation, you really don't need much in terms of extras. Taking your creatine, absolutely grand, that's very widely studied. I don't take protein shakes, I try and get it in from my food. You really don't need it. You certainly don't need it 30 minutes after your workout. And I don't care what you say, like, they just don't taste that good. Like, and I make a lot of recipes, but they really just don't taste great. So unless you're really trying to bulk up and you're a really hard gainer, maybe a shake with peanut butter and oats and all that sort of stuff is good, fine. But for most other people that are looking to stay lean and do this, forget the shakes. Next up, the comparison trap. I used to compare myself to all these different people that I'd seen, even personal trainers that I knew, and I'd seen their physiques and thought, whoa, but then I met them in person and they were no different to me. I have done photo shoots where I've looked really lean to the point that angles are best and everything else. I don't really look that impressive, and I've been training for a long time and I know what I'm doing. Recently, I've not been super consistent because I just don't care enough. I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. Everyone always wants to be bigger, but if you get into this comparison trap and you compare yourself to either the people with mad superior genetics like the Mike Thurstons, etc., or the people who are openly on steroids or fake natties or whatever, you're just going to never feel as if your progress is good enough. Hopefully you found this helpful. This is a kind of impromptu video. But these are the key things that I've learned. If you want my help, there's some free stuff down below. There's some coaching down below. One of the best things I've ever done, even when I was a coach, was hire a coach to actually just give some structure and guidance to it. So if so, hope to see you on the other side. If not, I'll see you in the next video. You can watch this one here. Bye-bye.